So in this video we're going to go over haunches in, or Travers, with our in-hand work. And with the haunches in work, there's, just like in the shoulder in, there's 4 variations of it. You have the haunches in down the rail, you have the haunches in on the circle, and haunches out on the circle, and haunches out on the rail. So those are your 4 variations of the haunches in, haunches out, or Travers, renvers. And you don't really want to start with this until your shoulder in work is pretty solid, because with the haunches in, now what we're going to do is we're going to start asking the horse to bend away from us. With the shoulder in, we ask the horse to bend around us. Now with the haunches in, we're going to ask the horse to bend away from us. So we set up just like we've been doing. I've got Nisa here. She's my Nakota horse. She's an 11-year-old Nakota horse. And so I'll be showing you the more advanced maneuvers with her. But we're setting up the same. My whip's in the outside hand here. I grab the outside rein, bring it down to the shoulder. I'm either going to grab the bit or the rein depending on what I need. And over time you can get farther and farther back. Eventually we're going to get to where I'll be doing the in-hand work, where I'll be standing at her hip. But just start off, go play with your shoulder work. I've already warmed her up with some of the shoulder in work with her. So now the haunches in, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my rein, my outside rein here, and I'm just going to kind of draw it down, and I'm going to ask her to bend her head away from me slightly. She's real sensitive, so she's real sensitive about her hind end, so I'm not needing to do much work. She's already bringing it over. She's really bringing it over too much. So for me, the challenge is to keep her straighter and not to swing the hind end over too much. For most of you, that's not going to be the case. So you're just going to start off with getting the walk going straight ahead, and then you're going to slightly draw down with the hand that's on the outside rein and ask her to bend away from me, which now changes it to the inside rein. So her bend is away from me slightly. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. So it's just a slight bend away. And then I can ask her hind to move away from me too. And there, that's pretty nice. And with her, she can get pretty tight in her neck. She wants to contract and come up. So I'm really always trying to keep the neck long and not too contracted and too high too early. Because if she gets too up and too contracted, then she's going to get real short in her stride. So I want to really keep that neck long with a slight bend away from me, and then I can just ask the hind to move away. Another way to think of it is as we're going down the rail, is can I keep her head and shoulder fairly parallel to the rail with a slight bend to the inside, and then just ask the hind to come off the rail slightly. But the bend is to the inside the whole time. So there's a little bit of crossover. So what's happening, the difference between a shoulder in, so here at the shoulder in, the bend is towards me. The horse is crossing over, this inside hind leg is stepping up and underneath, so it's crossing the inside over in front of the outside hind. Now if I change the bend to away from me into a haunches in, now this is no longer the inside hind leg, it's the outside hind leg. And now she's crossing the outside hind leg in front of the inside hind leg. And the reason why the haunches in is more difficult is you're getting both hind legs to engage. So she's engaging with the outside hind and somewhat with the inside hind. Now the challenge is with her is she wants to give too much angle, and if you give too much angle, you'll lose the inside hind. She won't, it'll just start shooting out to the outside and not really stepping up underneath. So you don't want to have too much angle, enough to where they're starting to really come up underneath, soft bend. Go back to the two parts, just like with the shoulder in work. There's two parts to it. You have bend and you have angle. It's just the bend is away from me the whole time. In all the in-hand work, the bend is going to be away from me with our haunches in and haunches out. In the shoulder in work, in the in-hand, this is just for the in-hand work, the bend is to me the whole time. It just depends on, I'll be walking on either the inside or the outside of her, but the bend is always away from me in the haunches in, to me in the shoulder in. That might be a key to kind of remember when you get out of here, like, okay, is this a shoulder in or is this a haunches in? Or haunches out. So haunches in just means we're bringing the hind end to the inside and the bend is to the inside. So I'm standing between the horse and the rail. We're starting off here, so that way it's easier. All I have to do is lay my whip back on her hip to ask her hip over. I get the bend to the inside or away from me slightly, and then I ask the hip to move over. So I walk forward, I create that bend to the outside, keeping a nice, long, relaxed neck. That's good. Now I'm going to softly say, okay, move your hind end over. Now if she wants to leave with this shoulder too, then I'm going to hold support with my outside, well, it's actually my inside rein here, but it's the rein that's down over the wither and on the shoulder. So I'm going to use that rein to help control the shoulder from leaving in. So oftentimes when I bring the hind end in, the shoulder wants to go too. And that's usually because there's not a lot of bend in the horse's body. So I'm going to just pick her up, go straight ahead, get her nice and soft in my hand. And then when I go around the corner, then I'm going to put her in a little haunches in. So I'm going to first just ask a bend away from me slightly in the head and neck. So it's just a slight bend, still pretty much keeping the head and shoulder parallel to the rail, and then I can ask for the hind to move over. And this is pretty nice right here. So it's a nice 3-track haunches in. If you go a little more angle, you can do a 4-track. If you start going beyond a 4-track, then it's really no longer a haunches in. It's more going to be a side pass type of movement. So again, I head down the rail, slightly ask. So she wants to push her shoulders in too. So I really kind of have to hold with this hand here to say, no, give me some bend in the neck. There. So I might even do that here at the halt first. And then say, hey, can you walk forward? Keep that bend. Good. And then I can come back with my whip and say, okay, now move your hind end. You know, her stride's a little bit interrupted here. She got a little contracted, a little tight. So I'm saying, no, just give me that bend. Now, so she's a little tight through the neck right here, the base of the neck. So what I might do if she's having a hard time bending is I'll come back on this side and we'll do a little bit of a shoulder in to help her. To say, hey, can you give me a bend through the neck? And maybe I won't even do a shoulder in, maybe it's just some bends and counter bends type of things. But here, just say, hey, can you bend through their neck? So that's pretty nice there. And then I can go back to the other side and set up for my haunches in again. So I just help her to get a little bend. Yeah, there. See, that's nice. Now, the cool thing about the in-hand work, and we've talked about this in the other videos, is the ability to see. You're going to see and feel things here on the ground that you don't see and feel when you're up there riding. So if you're really having a hard time with your haunches in when you're riding, then come down here and do some in-hand work and play with it from the ground. Because you're going to start to go, oh, she's locked up in the shoulders here. How can I help her unlock that? And don't just come out and do your haunches in work. Make sure you have all your other elements leading up to this. And so I'm going to change sides here now, and we're going to go the opposite direction. So with the haunches in, I'm going to be between the rail and the horse. So I just get straight forward, then I'm going to ask for a slight bend in the neck away from me. Yeah. And asking her to move her hind end over. And again, she's real sensitive, so I don't need to put much intent on the hind end for her to move her hind end over. She's like, okay, I'll move it over. And oftentimes she's moves it over whether I want to or not, whether I want that or not. So for me, it's more of a challenge to keep her straighter. So here I'm trying to control the shoulder. Then she's kind of getting contracted in the neck. So I'm just slowing it down, saying, just give me the bend. I'm not even asking for the hind end. She's just moving the hind end over on her own. Yeah. Because she lengthened her neck out there. That was nice. And then the walk got more fluid. I'm not looking for a lot of bend away from me. It's just a slight bend away. And then can she move her hind end over? It's a little bit tight in the neck here. I want her to soften that neck. So what I might do here is I could have kept going, or I'm just going to play with a little shoulder in. So I'll change sides. Just like the other way, she's a little bit tight kind of at the base of the neck here. And now I'm going to say, hey, let's just do a little shoulder in to help you soften up, help you stay relaxed. Find that bend. Because the bend is the same whether it's a shoulder in or haunches in. It's just the angle that changes. So if they're challenged with the bend when you go from they're fine at the shoulder in and then you go to a haunches in and the bend's a challenge, then you might have to go back to the shoulder in again, get it better. So there, she was pretty good. So I'm just going to keep the bend, change sides now, and just ask her to continue on, keeping the bend to the inside. Or now she's bent away from me. Yeah. A little bit tight in the neck yet, but much better. So it just showed her from the shoulder in showed her that, oh, okay, I can just soften and relax bending away from me. Good, and then softly asking the hind to move over. Yeah, there, she got soft for a little bit. It's all a balancing act of getting enough bend in the body and then getting the angle of, can you move that hind end over? Do you have control over the body parts? And if it's really getting challenging for you, or it just doesn't feel like it's working, break it down. Maybe all you focus on is saying, hey, can you just give me a soft bend away from me in the head and neck? And then once that feels pretty good, then you can say, oh, how about now you move your hind end over? And as soon as you do, there's a haunches in. So haunches in is just moving the haunches to the inside. If we're heading down the rail, the bend is to the inside and the hind end's to the inside. Now, we're always standing on the outside of the bend because it's really hard if I'm standing here and then I want to do a haunches in, it's a lot harder for her to wrap her hind end into me and head down the rail. Now later on, once we get back here and I'm doing more of in-hand work from standing at her hips, then yes, then it's a much easier. You can start asking for the haunches in over. But right now, you're standing on the outside for that haunches in. You're getting the bend away from you, and then you're moving the hind end slightly away from you too. So if you can remember those things, that's the opposite of a shoulder in. Shoulder in is bent to you, haunches in is bent away from you. You're on the outside of the horse, on the outside of the bend, and then you can move that hind end over. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.